what matters the most? So if you're going to go look for cost, where is the greatest cost? Okay? It's in non-commodity products, those items that matter the most. Okay? From Toyota's view, for example, I worked in plastics, and most automakers don't have internal plastics operations. Toyota's unique in that. And the reason was because those are the components that the customer values the most. So if you're driving the car, what do you look at? You look at the instrument panel. Most of the time, your experience of the car is what's right in front of you when you're driving. So we produce that part. That way we have control over the quality of it and also the visual part. Okay? And also this idea of total cost. And so what does that mean? Most of the companies that I work with have some belief about what their costs are. Got a formula, generally accepted accounting practices, and the formula says you take your materials and add your labor and overhead, bang, 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 here's the total cost. And I'm here to tell you right now that that cost model is completely flawed. It is totally inaccurate. That is not the cost at all. There's so much waste in the process that's not considered in that equation. Well, if a supplier came back to Toyota and said, Toyota, look, energy's increasing. Everybody knows the cost of energy is increasing, so we need a cost increase. We need a price increase. The answer wouldn't be, oh, okay, sure, energy's up. Here you go. The answer would be, what can we do to reduce costs in other areas so that we can offset the cost increase of energy? You see, one thing I learned at Toyota was, for example, in manufacturing, maybe I thought I needed more people to do the work. So maybe I go to the boss and I say, boss, I need more people. Does the boss say, oh, okay, I can see that you need more people? No. The boss says, where's the waste in your process and how can you eliminate that waste? You're never going to get from Toyota just hand over the money. Maybe they would say, okay, we can see that the costs are going up, that the prices are going up. And it's, I think in one of the slides you mentioned, it's proportional. So maybe Toyota's going to say, okay, energy costs are up 20%. We can increase your price 10%, but you have to reduce your cost 10%. So there's shared. You're never going to get just, oh, okay, sure, prices are up, here's more money. It's not that way, okay? So this question of what is really the total cost, you have to realize that if you talk about cost, you're talking about waste, and waste is always opportunity. So remember, your demonstrated ability today is not your expectation for tomorrow. Right? So whatever your total cost is today doesn't really matter because tomorrow it should be less. You should be identifying waste and reducing waste. So in one hand, trying to understand the total cost down to some penny number, a centavo, is it's a wasted exercise. Because what you're really trying to understand is where is the waste in your operation, and then what can you do to reduce that waste. That will help you reduce your cost. Right? One thing that's expected from Toyota's suppliers is very open. It's not the poker hand. You have to show your cards. Toyota, the people from Toyota purchasing know enough about the manufacturing operations to come in and look. And if you try to bluff, if you try to make a fake presentation, I'll say, no. Let's go see the real thing. Let's go understand the real situation. So it's not necessary. So it's going to say, we're going to make sure that you can make a profit. If you can't make a profit, you can't survive. And if you can't survive, we can't survive. So we want you to make a profit. But let's make sure we're clear on what the real costs are. Okay? And if you look at the structure of the value stream at Toyota, and you realize an important fact, and that is, as I mentioned in Texas, there's 21 supplier companies on site. to main suppliers, stampings and plastics and seats and so on. Any single operation in any one of those suppliers can shut down the whole plant. Any single operation. That means one worker, one problem on one job can shut down the whole thing. Okay? I can tell you stories. We could tell stories all day about how often that happened for us in Kentucky. Understand that the cost of that is estimated to be somewhere around $20,000 to $30,000 US per minute. So it's not some small issue, right? It's very critical. So of course they want to have a backup plan. If there's some problem with a supplier, you need to be prepared to bring in some additional materials if necessary. I visit the seat supplier in Kentucky, and you know, I understand those guys because I was inside Toyota, and they say, oh, you know, every year they ask us for more cost reduction. And of course the usual thing, people think, well, how can we possibly do that? Last year we made 20% reduction. This year we asked 20% again. You know, how is it possible? And the answer is we have to go back and look at the process, and we have to set some objectives again. One of the problems too at the supplier level, because suppliers have been really squeezed to reduce costs, is they've taken out people. Right? The easiest way to cut costs is just take a few people. I'm working with a company right now, and they lost one of their primary customers. So they need to reduce costs by $1 million a year. So the CEO said, okay, here's the way it works. Everybody suffers equally. So every department needs to take out 10% of the people. Just made a decision, take out 10% of the people. Now, is it possible that every department has 10% extra? Maybe. But maybe not. There's no consideration given to what people are actually doing in that case. So there's an expectation with suppliers that they're data-driven, they're operating on data, they have timely communications. The suppliers who feed directly to the line receive their information. The seat supplier in Texas receives a signal from Toyota 90 minutes before the seat has to be in the vehicle. So they have 90 minutes, and they receive the information to build the seat and have it in the truck. So that's a very short time window, and they have to build those seats in the sequence for the vehicle.